We've got lovely. We've got people in the chat saying hello, hello. Oh, lordy, lordy. Hey, Iro. Yes, Iro, there will be a video recording of the session. He says just making sure it's recording. Yes, it is. So we will have a video recording. Lots of people saying hello in the chat as well, which is lovely. Right, ladies and gentlemen. Oh, lordy. Admit all. We've got more people coming in from the waiting room. I'm going to keep an eye on the waiting room. But what I'm going to do, because we're now already at 5 past, I think we're going to kick off. So, ladies and gentlemen, a very, very warm welcome to this webinar, which is all about the Big Idea competition, which I know some of you have participated or looked at before or helped organize before, and for some of you it will be new. We've got some very, very good people here to talk to you. We've got people from ChangeSchool, Viren, Lall and Andriy Panasenko, and we've got people from London Metropolitan University who are running the Big Idea competition. We've got Sandra and we've got Chris. So very much the experts on this webinar for you. We've got more than 100 people registered and people are piling into the waiting room as we are continuing. So what I'd like to do is straight away hand over to the first person who's going to talk to you, which I believe is Viren, is it not?
Yep.
And I believe, Viren, you're going to share us some slides?
I think that would be a good way to go. So let me just bring that up, bring the slides.
The vast majority of you guys are on mute, which is great. We will have, as we go through, we'll have a couple of breaks to have a think, have a chat, and have an opportunity to get some questions going through. So for the meanwhile, Viren, if you want to tell us a lovely desktop.
Lovely. Thank you, guys. Thank you so much for joining. Yeah, this idea basically came a little over a week ago, and we said, let's all get together. I know we're all stuck at home, and we have this wonderful competition by British Council on the Creative Spark program, which was a wonderful coming together last year. We had a lovely sort of time both participating in it, evaluating it, supporting the institutions, and obviously the people who at various stages had varying degrees of fantastic success, and they're all left with super experience. So in this particular session, we are basically going to simplify the whole thing and tell you how easy it is to get started on this activity, but more importantly, focus on the things that are really important. So we do the right things first and then follow throughout there. We've obviously got the people who designed the whole Big Idea Challenge, and we've also got a surprise for you at the end of the session. There's something that none of you know about so far, so we all want you to wait right till the end out there. So I'll start the first part of the Big Idea Challenge. So I'll take the approach, we'll describe the approach. There's the timeline and process. So Sandra will talk about the timeline and process. You'll see a bit of a planning slide. The main thing, and this is for the students and the young entrepreneurs who use this as a guidance to think through how you're going to prepare your submissions, because even though the date is 7th of June, there are things you will need to do before that out there. We went through supporting our institutions. So we've been doing this in Uzbekistan with TSTU and with NIFAT, and we obviously learned a lot from that process. Andriy, who's on the call, reviewed a number of applications, so there were some lessons learned, and we can share that back with you. And then we have Chris, who will run a masterclass on how to build a pitch at the end of the thing. We'll have Q&A, and then we'll have a bit of a surprise. So we have the first poll, right? So we have, my God, it's getting close to 100 people. We have a lot of you on the call out here. So I want to do a quick poll, and Neil, if you may, just take a quick sort of temperature check. Very simple questions. How many of you just heard about the challenge? How many have been through training, boot camps, etc.? How many have already started preparing for this year's Big Idea Challenge competition? And how many of you participated in the last one?
So you should see there, ladies and gentlemen, Andrea's already put it up for us that just tick all that apply. So don't only tick one. If you've heard about it and have already had ideas, you're ticking both of those. If you've already started preparing, tick that as well. So it's a cumulative thing. So we're just getting an idea. So I guess on the assumption that you know, you're on this call, right? That before, unless you're in the wrong place, you probably have heard about the big idea competition before today. That's might be an assumption, but there we go.
Yeah.
And most
And
of
if
you,
we're speaking too quickly, please, there is, you know, just let us know on the chat window and we'll slow down. One thing though, this is not for the mentors or the enterprise champions. This is only for the students who are eligible to participate. So Oikbek, I can see you on the video. I don't want you to be voting on this. Right, good, yes.
We have some good participation in the moment. About 50% of the people have voted. So
Give another 40 seconds and you'll with the 80-20 rule will kick in, Andrew.
Yeah, that's fine.
Fantastic. Okay.
keep going, guys. Another
Hello.
seconds.
And by the way, ladies and gentlemen, Andriy speaks Russian. So if you don't understand us or you want something repeated, you want something translated, shout out in the chat window, and we'll do, and you know, and we will relay it in more than one language.
Yeah.
Right. Let's
10 more seconds.
Let's end that poll there.
Okay.
Right. I'm going to share the results. Viren, any thoughts on those results?
Oh, fantastic. Fantastic. Chris, I don't think it's a good idea we ran this call, right? Yeah. And by the way, you can, Sandra and Chris, I welcome both of you to come off mute because I'd like you to pitch in every now and then. So really good that we've set this call up because, you know, that 62% of you've heard, you've had some idea, you've had some training, already started preparing. That is fantastic. So the fact that we are sat with in front of the TV with our family, disconnected from our institutions, hasn't stopped the creative process. And good to know that you've taken part in last year's competition. So before we move on, Chris, Chris and Sandra, for people who've participated in the previous year, are there any guidelines on participation? Can they come with the same idea? Can they come?
Yes, I can answer that one. You can participate again if you were not a winner of either a category or country or popular vote winner, or indeed the overall champion. So long as you didn't win an award last year, you are eligible to enter again. I'm right, Sandra, about that, aren't I?
Sure.
Yep.
Fantastic. Thank you so much. So, so if they did win as individuals, regardless if they come with a different idea, they're not eligible to participate.
No, if they won last year, they should be helping people who are entering this year.
Okay, so if you won last year and like Bakery Museum or the many others, then you should be mentoring people this year. You should be making your business real, but helping other people to be a part of the competition. Thank you so much. We'll move on out there. So the approach. So Sandra, I'd just like to sort of bring you in out here, right? What's the British Council looking to assess? What's the process? What's the prize? And if you could just give a little bit of detail on that. And I know you'll come in later and help us go through the preparation process, yeah?
Yeah, sure. So very quickly, the British Council is looking for very exciting new business ideas coming from the 7 countries taking part in the Creative Sparks program. As you know, as you've heard about a competition, you probably know there are 3 categories. So it's ideas that fall within the creative sector, digital technology, or social enterprises. So any ideas that help communities develop and to flourish. The process is that each institution that participates needs to select 10 ideas to bring to the International Big Idea Challenge. So if you are a participant that wants to get involved, you need to get in touch with your institution and find out how their process is going to work to select the 10 nominations, and make sure that you're involved in the process and have your best idea possible, really, to up your chances to be selected. The prize, well, there's not just one, there's many wonderful prizes. For the country winners and the category winners in the countries, we have a great mentorship program where you will have international mentors, including startup coaches, successful entrepreneurs in London that will follow your business idea for a couple of weeks or a certain amount of hours, and they will advise you and coach you on how to develop your idea even further. So it's a great opportunity for you to work on the idea. And the overall prize for the 7 country winners is a startup sprint program run remotely from London for you to, again, test your idea, validate your idea, and further develop your business. There's obviously also some grand prizes. That means that there's some money that you can spend on your business. However, that is not really the main value of the competition, but it will help to further develop your idea and hopefully make it very successful.
Thank you, Sandra. Thank you very, very much out there. So ladies and gentlemen and fellow entrepreneurs and participants on the Big Idea Challenge, right? The prize is participation. The learning you get out of it, the confidence you build and how you can go forward is really the main objective. If you beat the numbers and you win additional money, you can spend it on your business. So there's all good reasons for participation. Just checking in if there's something on the chat out there. Everybody's saying hello, so that's fine.
Viren, I'm just going to say, I don't know if Sandra did mention this, but yes, the prizes are varied, but the grant prize is £3,000. That's the maximum that any individual team could win, and it's a team prize.
It's a team prize. Thank you very much. Right. So let's put this forward out there. So in the preparation process, here are a number of things to consider. You will be using a nomination form to prepare your pitch, and they will have 7 or 8 questions you will need to answer, and I'll show that to you. And then there will be Chris, if I'm correct, there's an online process, online way of submitting this, isn't it?
Well, the important thing is that each institution in their qualifying round, as they select their 10 nominees, will need to have created a local process for collecting information. And different institutions may be doing it in different ways. So I don't think we can say exactly how it's being done.
Right.
But from the perspective of the student, certainly they will need to create an answers to a series of questions about their business, and also they will eventually need to, if they are nominated, submit information about themselves, their contact details.
Right. Sorry, just being clear out here. Last year, if I remember correctly, did they not go onto an online site and fill in the forms in a website to do that? Whether it was the institution doing it on their behalf, just understanding that.
Yeah, sorry, if we're talking about the institution, it is absolutely the case that nomination is by the submission of an online form by the institution.
Right. So, so for fellow participants, you need to identify the key person in your institution to whom you will submit your forms, which might be in a Word document or a PDF in a character count that is prescribed. And you will also have uploaded your pitch video onto YouTube. And then the institutions will use the special processes of submitting it on the behalf of the institution, the 10 nomination. Now, I know that we're all from different institutions out here, so chances are your UK partners have already run some ideation programs with you, some pitching workshops with you. I know that I've done that in January when I was there, and some of you have done it last year, and some of you have already got mentors who are trained up to do that in country. So you have all those resources. We will talk a little bit about preparing your pitch idea and your pitch. And if there's one thing that I'd like you to take away from this entire session is the following. Your pitch is the final output, but that's not what you start your preparation on. You start your preparation actually on your business idea and do the research. And we will talk a little more about that in detail on slides to come. Then you prepare the content, the transcript that's going to go, and then you finally prepare the pitch. So it's like a 3-stage process. So although the submission is a video pitch, your evaluation will really be on how solid your business idea is. And Chris will talk a little more about that towards the end of the session. There's also a popular vote. And again, we will talk about how you can promote your pitch to get it And there were, for each country, there was an in-country winner who had got the maximum votes on social media about that. Chris, if you want to say anything.
Yeah, so if I just explain how that part of the process works. After each institution nominates their 10 entries for the competition, local judges then make a selection within the country, and they identify 9 teams, 3 for each category, creative tech and social impact. And it is the 9 teams per country that will go forward for the popular vote. And there's a popular vote winner at country level, but also we choose a popular vote winner across the 7 Creative Spark countries.
Right.
Yeah.
Thank you very much for that clarification, Chris. So just to understand, you need to be a winner of some of one of the categories at a national level to be eligible to be a winner for a popular vote out there. But nevertheless, you must promote your pitch, because should you be chosen to be one of those category winners, you'll get a head start for the popular vote category itself. We will also go through the selection criteria and some of the stuff on the final round. And there's again something special that is about to come. So I'm going to just take you through some of the materials that we have out here, out there. So there is, sorry, I think the best thing to show on the website. So for the people who are supporting the institution champions we're supporting, you will receive special links pointing out to where you will find the competition design, the timelines, the nomination forms, etc. So you'll get a whole set of resources out there. What I want to do right now is share with the participants some of the resources that they will be using to do that. So here is what a nomination form looks like. This is where you will be putting the members of your team, the competition category, which Sandra talked about. There are 3 categories. There's digital, there's social impact, and there's creative. There's the name of the idea. There is a nice strap line. Tell us in 10 words, what's exciting about your idea. As an all good business idea, it starts with the problem or the unmet need. Each of them has a word limit. Who do you think the customers will be? Andriy will talk a little more about that in detail. Really, is it a blue sky idea? There must be some way to keep the business going. What are the choices in how to make money? Chris will share some examples of how you might want to do that. There's obviously a section on novelty of the idea and how is it better than competition if it exists in the market. And really last part is why you? Why are you behind that idea and why not someone else? There must be something personal about you connecting yourself to the idea. And I love it that someone's drawing on the screen as I'm coming along. That's all good. Yeah. And then finally, there is a pitch. So Chris, just to give us an idea, right? You have the form and the pitch. What's the weighting in the evaluation when you look for winners? You're on mute, Chris.
I think you're on mute, Chris.
It's equal. Thank you for prompting me. It's equal across all of those categories. So we equally weight. Although I would say that I think this year we recognise that people may be facing considerable challenges in terms of the production standards of their video pitches. So I think we will be lenient when it comes to low tech achievements in terms of the quality.
And I think Sandra will definitely help us a lot about. Sandra has got some great ideas on how to make really good videos just using your smartphone, no fancy technology, and she'll really help us out there. So that's the form, and obviously you'll have access to that. The second criteria which you'll have access to is like, how are you judged, right? So there is it's a very fair process. It's a very, very fair process, no matter how you may feel about it. The judges have a very clear criteria on what they look like, and you can see they are judged on problem, the target market, the revenue model, and in each of these, they will evaluate your answer. Do you provide no information? That's not good at all. The revenue model is not clear. We get a 1. It's kind of a weak answer. It's somewhat defined, but somewhat defined and reasonably described. Fine. That's a moderately good answer. Precisely defined. Excellent. So originality, and for each of these, we will have that. And finally, you have a weighting, which is also on the pitch. So these are the 2 documents I wanted to show you. There are other documents on a user guide and pitches. I won't go over them in detail, but you will have access to that. How do you prepare your pitch, the kind of things you must look at, thinking about the audience, starting strong, finishing strong. For 100% finish within 60 seconds. A lot of people have pitches that are longer. Judges don't like that. And obviously you have a chance you'll be disqualified out there. Have a strong closing sentence. You can use any of these devices. Practicing is very important. And there are lots of tips out there. And I don't know who that person is. That looks like Sandra to me. So Sandra has given personal examples out there. Have a clear background. So I use a green screen and then I put a logo up. That's good. Costume, etc., being in the center. I won't go through this in detail because it's beautifully described. There's a lot of thought that's gone into the document. But what I'm saying is you will have this document as guidance when you go about preparing. And also there's another nice document on how to promote your pitch in social media and Facebook, how to get likes. For us to tell you how to promote stuff on social media is actually sounds quite stupid because you're much smarter than us as far when it comes to social media. So you already know that. Yeah, but here are some guidelines nevertheless. So I'm going to come back onto the slides and we'll move that forward. So I walked through the resources, and I just wanted to say the likes of Oikbeck and other people, the institutional champions, you will have additional resources in being able to guide, because ultimately you are responsible for collecting the pitches, making sure the terms and conditions are met, making sure you've signed the waiver forms and the contact details of the participants when you submit it on the institution behalf for the countries. Gosh, we're very, very close to 100 people. That's amazing. Now, I said this before, but I'm going to just say this again, right? It's a pitching competition, but the pitch is an output after some real considered thinking about your business. The main part, which is below the waterline, is the preparation. What's the problem? Is there an evidence, right? Do you have statistics that support it? And you can go to last year's pitches and look at some of the good pitches, and you'll find all of that information was there in the way they pitched. What's your idea? How is it a solution? How does it differentiate from other people? What's the revenue model? What are the target customers, right? How are you going to start? Who are the first few people you're going to talk to? Your passion behind that idea, is it related to your arts? Is it related to a skill that you have, right? And only then we will look at this sort of video pitch. And then when you move on, you prepare the content. It is the amount of content you can talk in 1 minute. You prepare that and you revise that and you make sure it's grammatically sounds okay. Prepare, make other people listen to it, talk about it, practice in front of a mirror, and then finally film it on video. So I want you to think of this as a 3-step process as you go up. Yeah. There'll be pitch examples. You will get the slides, so you will have access to looking at a lot of these ideas to get inspiration and pitches out there. And again, between Neil and Andrea, can you just check that if you're checking anything on chat that needs to be addressed, just shout it out to me. Yeah. Okay. All right. Cool. Neil, do we want?
Right. Yes, we do. So, ladies and gentlemen, that was quite a lot of information for you. Good 20 minutes worth of talking there. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to give you an opportunity now for a couple of minutes. I'm going to put you into breakout rooms. Have a conversation with each other. You'll be in groups of 3 or 4. Have a chat. Think through whatever it is that you've heard and come up with any questions that you might have for Chris, for Sandra, for Viren, or for Andrea. Give yourselves a moment, talk about it, think it through, and come up with any questions, okay? So the breakout room will be timed. It'll only be 3 or 4 minutes. And what I'm going to do is I'm going to put you in this breakout rooms.
And do remember to come off mute, because when you go into the breakout room, you'll be on mute.
Talking to each other. Yeah.
Yeah. Right.
So it's going to literally be 3 minutes to have a quick chat and then come back. Okay. Here we go.
Wow, that was good. Fantastic, lovely to see. How many? We had almost 90 people. Neil, are we all back? Hi, Sarah.
Hiya.
Hi, Erkin.
Right, what I'm going to do, guys, is mute everybody, and then I'm going to unmute you. So bear with me.
Out there.
Right. So, ladies and gentlemen, any thoughts, any questions, pop them up on the chat.
Neil, if I may ask
Please.
a question.
Go on.
We are not sure whether we covered it already or not.
Go on, go for it.
The question is about the deadline for for submitting the videos for the final competition. Have we already covered it or not? Maybe we missed it.
No,
But
the.
yeah,
Yes.
thank you.
Thank you. No, we haven't covered it, and thank you. The same question was asked. The same question was asked in our group, and Sandra will come and talk about the process and timelines. So there is a deadline for submission into British Council, but there'll be a deadline before that for you to submit, because the institution will be collecting on behalf. So Sandra will discuss all of that. I had one more question, which I don't have the answer to, so I'm going to put it to Chris and Sandra. Can one team only submit one business idea, and can people be part of more than one team? Chris.
Yes, okay. Actually, Sandra, do you know what's the rule on whether an individual can be a member of more than one team?
Unfortunately, that is not possible. So one individual can only be part of one team.
Yeah.
And in
this competition.
Yes, correct.
Per year.
Yes.
Right.
I've also got a question on the chat window, ladies and gentlemen. So we have a question about how, thank you, Sarah. We had a question about how far developed an idea may be to be allowed to enter the competition. For example, could a business that has already started to generate income submit an idea to the Big Idea Challenge?
Do you want to take that one, Sandra, or shall I?
I'm happy to take it.
Go ahead.
Sure. So we are very excited to hear about any idea at any stage. I think, you know, there should be some kind of common sense to whether the idea is still an early stage startup, which doesn't mean that it cannot be trading already and having an income. But we obviously don't want a fully established company to join this competition, because the aim of the competition is to support startup of young entrepreneurs and young students or beneficiaries of the Creative Spark program, and hence why the idea needs to be at an early stage, and the business as well.
We'll have another chance to have Q&A in the end, people. So Neil, if we run dry on the chat window, I am then going to go back onto hopefully my screen, and we'll progress from that out there. Okay, so Sandra, I think this is now over to you, because this has been a burning question in a number of breakout groups. So I'd love it if you can just talk us through this, please. Thank you.
Absolutely, thank you, Viren. So the timeline is on screen right now, and as you might be aware, we made some changes to it to basically give everyone a bit more time to work on their ideas and their collections, because of the extraordinary special situation we all are in. So because of most universities and partners in the 7 countries not operating normally at the moment, and everyone being at home, we extended the final deadline of the competition by 3 weeks. So the new deadline for the nominations is the 7th of June. You can see on the deadline, that's basically where all the colors finish, on Sunday, the 7th of June. And that is for the partner institutions to submit their 10 nominations. Before that happens, we obviously need other things to have happened as well. So if you are a participant applying with your institution, we would like you to have submitted your nomination form by the 19th of May. So that on the weekend, or basically the end of the week of 20th, 21st, and 22nd of May, the partner institutions have time to choose their 10 nominations, and then have a little bit of time to submit the nominations. So if you are a participant, make sure that you've been in touch with your institution as soon as possible, basically now, to figure out when you can apply with your idea by, and be part of the 10 nominations that are going to go to the final competition. So for the institutions, the important deadline, as I said before, we would like you to choose your 10 nominations by the 22nd of May. And then after that, you start submitting your nominations online, so that we have all of them by the 7th of June. that means that recording the pictures with the ideas should happen before you make your 10 selections, obviously. I'm going to talk about how to record videos a little bit later on, because obviously that's going to change quite a lot from what we did last year, what we thought we could do locally with the institution. So I'm going into the details of that later on. But this is basically the timeline milestones that you should keep in mind. 20th of May, make your nominations, and 7th of June, have all your nominations submitted to us via the nomination form online that you should have the link to.
Thank you.
Sandra, could I jump in with something?
Yeah, sure.
I don't know whether you were going to come on to this, but you haven't talked so much about the part where people promote their pitches in the event that they are selected as one of the 9 country shortlisted applicants. But you've highlighted that's number 8. Not so relevant now because we're not at that stage yet, but just so people know. And so during July, there will be virtual awards events taking place as well. And then in September, that's when we'll have the startup sprint that will be delivered as part of the prize to the eventual winners.
Yeah, right.
Thank you. So, ladies and gentlemen, and fellow participants in the Big Idea competition, the big dates for you is you got just about a month to prepare, right, from today. So today is the 22nd of April, and you should be turning in your nomination to your institution by the 20th of May. Giving them some time for them to process and select should they receive more than 10, and obviously giving them some time to put that forward. Yeah, so that is a discussion between yourselves and your institutions, and you should reach out to you. These are our suggestions on how should it be done. Ultimately, Chris, or Sandra, if I know this correctly, what matters is what's submitted on the 7th from the institution to British Council. Yeah, we will not be interfering in any other part of the
Correct.
process.
Yes.
Correct. Let's move on. I'm now going to hand over to Andrea, who's going to help us understand, we did a review process, understand what are the, small errors or oversights that people make as we go forward. Yeah, all right. So Andrea, I'm going to hand over to you. Yeah.
Yes, so guys, thank you for joining the call. It's quite exciting to see so many of you on this call. Last year, we reviewed over 40 pitches across 4 countries, and we have given our assessment and suggestions for improving those pitches. And this is what we learned through this process. So the 3 main problems or the 3 main weaknesses in the pitches include the following. The first is a weak problem statement. The second one is a weak business model where you or the people who are submitting their preferences were not clearly mapping their idea and route to market and the customer segments, and the financials as well. Again, a lot of you failed on, or people who have submitted their initial pitches failed on getting the revenues and costs together. Even making some assumptions was a challenge. And again, those are the 3 main areas which we would recommend to focus on. To start with, weak problem statement. What are we looking to try to solve? What is the problem we are aiming at? Какую проблему мы пытаемся решить? I'll try to switch to Russian in case this is maybe easier.
Yeah.
What problem we are trying to solve? How does our innovation address the problem? В чем новизна решения? Как мы можем решить проблему? Это второй момент, который позволяет определить решение. How can the innovation address the problem? What is the market size? Какой объем рынка, на который направляется данное решение? And what is our share in that piece of the market? И какую долю на рынке мы можем завоевать в течение года-2? Weakness of the business model, again, using business model canvas would strengthen the case. Слабость бизнес-модели, как я уже говорил, сегментов клиентских и так далее. С использованием бизнес-model canvas можно решить этот вопрос. some clarity on financials would be quite a powerful enhancement of the case. Revenues and cost assumptions are fundamental for a strong idea and commercialization of idea. Опять же, четкость, ясность в финансовых результатах проекта с точки зрения доходов и расходов, а также прибыльности даст дополнительное преимущество вашей идеи. And articulated business benefits. What are the clear ideas for social, economic, and environmental benefits, and how you would contribute to the better society? Четкое понимание того, как ваша идея позволит разработать социально-экономические, достичь социальных, экономических и природных преимуществ. The final thing which is important is teams. You're working in teams, so please leverage this as a power of teams and working together, and that would help make a strong pitch, which will be very competitive and very hard to beat by the competition. Опять же, работая в команде, обращайте внимание на сильные стороны ваших партнеров, и это позволит вам достичь результата. Good luck.
Thank you, Andrea. In benefit time, we'll go on. So, ladies and gentlemen, we've got a nice surprise for you in the end, but and I also want Chris to give us a little bit of a practice. So we have a bit of a dilemma on time. Can I request if you do your best to stay on for another 15 minutes at the end of the session, so that we can finish with a nice little surprise for all of you. So instead of finishing at 1:15 our time, so 1 o'clock our time, it'll be probably 10 past 1 or 1:15. Would that be okay out there? Can you just say yes on the chat window so I can get a sense that we are doing okay? Yes.
Yeah, we've got a couple of yeses there, V.
Right. Okay. Cool. Right. So we'll move as quickly as possible. But we just wanted to make sure that we took enough time in the sessions. Thank you so much for giving us that extra grace. I really appreciate it. Okay. Right. So Chris, over to you. We've got a bit of extra time, but we'll still move at speed. But I know the videos, we're out there. So okay. you tell me press, and I'll do the thing. Right.
And thanks, Viren. And Sandra may well come in here and add some supplementary material to what I'm going to say. So I think we've heard already from Andriy some of the advice about how to create a great pitch, and to some extent, I'm going to reiterate some of the things that he's said. So I think the first thing we would say is that you need to be very clear about what your problem is. What is the issue that your business idea addresses? Is it one for which there is evidence? In other words, is it perceived or real? It may be that you assume that something is a problem, but it may not actually be, and that's part of the research that you need to be doing before you get going with establishing your business idea. And I think that there's a truism that people refer to in entrepreneurship and in startups, which is that people buy products when they feel pain, they don't buy products to achieve pleasure so much. And so I think we would say, what is the pain point of your customer? How strongly does your customer feel the issues that you're trying to address? If there is real pain, in inverted commas, in their experience, then it may well be that you will be successful. It's also worth being aware of how the problem that you're addressing is overcome today. So this is having a perception of what your competition is. Often there are very successful substitute activities that people can do to address the problem that you're trying to address. And I think another thing is about how significant the problem is. So do think carefully about whether it really matters. It might feel like a good idea, but think about whether it really matters and is going to make a big difference to people. Viren, next slide, please. Who are the people affected by the problem? This is absolutely critical. Sometimes when you ask people who their market is, they say,
everybody.
So, it's not everybody. You need to be very specific. Have a really clear idea about the characteristics of your market. Next slide, please. And so the next question is how you're going to create revenue. Or it could be that you are running a social enterprise or a charity, and it may be more about how you will establish sustainability. So it doesn't necessarily have to be profit that you're making. But there are a number of different approaches, and you can see here we've got transactions, i.e. people make one-off purchases for goods, a subscription basis where people might commit to paying on a contract basis. There may be a membership approach, or you could potentially franchise or license something that you have created and trade on your IP, or you may charge hourly rates for professional services, for example. This is not an exhaustive list of revenue models, but it's an example. Next
right,
slide,
thank you,
please.
Chris. And again, guys, most
Just jump
people
in anywhere,
yeah,
please.
yeah, yeah. Most
Sorry,
people, yeah, most people basically think the business is about selling one thing once. No, it isn't. This is just to give you a creative insight into. There are many, many other ways to sort of earn revenue for your enterprise. So just to give you an idea. Cool.
And yeah, and I think one of the things we would say is that sometimes the idea can be great, but it won't work because the revenue model is wrong. So it's always worth thinking, is it the right revenue model to match your idea? I think another key issue is originality and differentiation. Is there someone else doing the same thing? Often people will say what they're doing is unique, but it may be that they haven't actually looked very carefully into what is out there and what the competition are doing. Are they solving the problem with the same products and service or with a different one? And how are you different? What are you doing that's different? Is it that you're faster? Are you lower cost? Are you higher quality? Are you more accurate? There's going to be some benefits that you're going to need to be able to highlight that will differentiate you from the competition. Next slide, please, Viren. And then I think finally, it's critical that you manage to convey through your pitch the passion that you have for your idea. And, part of that is about the way in which you communicate, but I think it's also about how you explain the skills of your team and show that, you actually have the means and the knowledge and the expertise and the experience to really take your idea forward. And that's part of how you can convince us that you're passionate about it. If you can show that this is something that really matters to you and that you've actually invested time in developing, we are going to get a good idea of the passion that you have for what you're doing.
Thank you.
And I think actually thinking about the team and about the way that different teams' skills can help you to be successful is also really important. Next slide, Viren, please. So a quick view of a potential structure for the pitch. This is what we recommend. You need a punchy start so that people don't drift off before you've even got started. You need to identify what the problem is that you're trying to solve, and then very quickly explain how your idea provides a solution. You need to say who your customer is. You need to say how you're going to make money. You need to add on something about the team, maybe the network that you will leverage, any IP that you have, and what sort of expertise you have. And then we would normally say finish with a good slogan to mean that when people leave the pitch, maybe they've listened to 50 pitches in a day, they will remember yours because of your slogan. Next slide, please, Viren.
Sorry, Chris, may I just come in here? We did not give Sandra the opportunity to talk a little about the preparation of a video pitch. So can I suggest that once we finish this, we probably bring you in, and you tell us how to do it at that particular stage. So back to you, Chris. Yeah.
Okay, great. I'm not going to show this pitch now, but when Viren shares the slides, you'll be able to have a look at it yourself. So it's one example of a pitch. It's not necessarily perfect, but we think it has some of the features that you need to try to achieve. And I'm going to try and reenact this myself now. So here we go. Are you ready? In fact, actually, I'm just going to
time it.
Yeah, hold on a minute. Let's get the right app on my phone. Okay, I don't know if you can see this.
Yeah.
So I'm off. Right. It's a cold night and you're at your son's football game. After the first quarter, you realize these bleachers are so cold, but my butt is numb. I have the perfect solution, a hot seat. The hot seat is a cushioned stadium seat with the heated base and back. Now, there are cushioned stadium seats available that aren't heated, and heated stadium pads, but they don't offer back support. The hot seat combines these two elements, providing a portable cushion heated stadium seat with a USB port to charge your mobile device. according to worldstadiums.com, there are over 73 million outdoor stadium seats in America alone. I'll use the internet, my personal NFL connections, and amateur booster club organizations to sell 2,000 units by year 3, resulting in $120,000 of sales. I need 19,000 for development, manufacturing, and marketing, and investors can expect a 3 times return on investment by year 3. Don't let the frost bite your bums. Get the hot seat. So that's my attempt. Oh, and sorry. Well, I didn't do so well. 1 minute, 20 seconds.
Oh, you got to be quicker. You got to be quicker.
About,
so that's a good example of a pitch that's overrun.
Yeah, right. about which I will say more in a minute, because there's a reason why this pitch ran for longer than 1 minute. But I'll say more about that in a second. So Viren, can we have the next slide? Because what I'm going to do now is show you that if you very carefully script your pitch, you can make sure that with the most economical effect, you can make your words count. You haven't got that many words. We recommend 140 words is the right amount to deliver a 1 minute pitch. And actually the problem with this pitch is that when you listen to the video, the person speaks very, very quickly, and that's because they actually have 160 words. So in fact, there's really too many words in this pitch, and so you actually need to be a bit more economical. Anyway, let's go through. So first of all, the person says what their solution is. Next, they give a bit more of a detailed explanation to embellish what they've said. Then they tell us how they are different from competitors. So they explain some of the other products on the marketplace, and they tell you that their product does 2 things where elsewhere competitors only do 1. So that's differentiation from competitors. They also say what the advantage of the product is over the competition. And they add value. So it's not just that it directly solves the problem, but it gives you a bonus as well. And next, there's evidence of market size, the number of seats in the stadiums overall in the USA. Next, the channel through which the person expects to reach the market is clearly identified. And this is someone who has personal connections with this industry and will be using those personal connections to reach an audience and to reach the market. Identifying the personal skills and knowledge of the person and their network. And here's, with 1 word, a reference to the business model. You could miss it, but they say that they are selling. So that means that they're charging by the unit. They're not running a subscription service. There's a forecast of the performance over a period of time, how many units will be sold in 3 years, and what will the general overall revenue will be. Next, how much investment is being sought. This is not a compulsory part of your pitch. What the investor can expect to have back in terms of a return. And finally, there's the slogan. So I think this is a kind of dissection of all of the elements of a pitch. And I think it really pays to write your script down and to keep honing it and developing it. And you can always, whenever you're doing any editing of any kind, there are always ways of finding a more efficient way of saying the same thing.
Thank you. And I think brevity is the case out there, Chris. And I think it's really important that you did identify that the speech, you're not really asking the audience or the judges a call to say that I want so much money for investment. Is that clear?
Yep.
Did I understand? Yeah, right. Thank you.
Yeah, yeah. And so, you know, that will be a way, for example, of cutting down on the words here. I mean, if you can get it in, fine, but it's not essential.
Thank you so much. Right. So are you wanting to get any other critique from the crowd, or should we just go into your example?
Yeah, maybe. I mean, apart from the fact that I ran over, let's go. I mean, I think I just picked out a few things that I felt were issues. So I quite like the idea, you know, women's football is massive at the moment, at least when we come out of lockdown, hopefully it will be. So I think, you know, it's always worth thinking about diversity. That's one thing.
Yeah, British Council is very keen on that, yeah.
And, you know, we want women who are entrepreneurs, so let's just construct products as only being for one small portion of society. So how does it work technologically? So I guess just a question, is it really feasible to build this product for $60, which is the logic of the costings that we see later?
Yeah, and it's very nice because I think one of our entrepreneurs in Uzbekistan was wanting to build a heating pad to go to mosques for a similar price, and I think it's a really good one. Heated prayer mat, right? Lovely, yeah.
Yeah, I'm not saying that it's not possible, but it's where's the evidence? Is this really needed in all American outdoor stadiums? So I guess my point there is that you can cite some statistic, and actually, sorry, I think that's actually pointing at the wrong. Oh, what is it saying? This is about, is this really needed in all American outdoor stadiums? I think this should be pointing to the
73 million. That doesn't matter.
The next line down. But I don't think everybody in America would need to have heating on their seat at all times of year. So there may be more of a limit to the market than suggested here. So don't exaggerate. Perhaps that's the point.
So you can turn around and say there's the target addressable market and the market that I'm approaching. It has a slightly smaller size.
Yeah. So then I just thought, will it be convenient? Will people really want to carry this great big thing around with them when they're going to a football match? Who knows? But that was a question. I thought, always worth thinking about the environment and social and some kind of social impact. So might have been worth considering that.
Yeah, and I think, Andrea, you brought that up when you talked about benefits. It's not just economic benefits, it's also social and environmental benefits. Yeah, lovely, good.
It may be that there is a good environmental impact. Next. So yeah, there's not a price to the customer cited. We can work it out, but it's not actually mentioned. So I've worked out it must be $60 because that's $120 divided, 120,000 divided by 2,000. But it might have been worth making that explicit.
So I think so folks, so fellow entrepreneurs, this is a really important point, right? Don't make the judges do mental calculations as they hear their pitch. They're very tired, right? Make it as simple for them. Don't let them do arithmetic to try and guess what it is. If you can make it straightforward, do make it straightforward when you can. Yeah.
Any more?
Yeah,
so I guess what's not really revealed here is whether the person is making enough to cover their own salary once they have returned the investment. And again, I'm not saying necessarily in presenting these questions that these are things that could have been dealt with in the pitch because there's not enough time. But it's worth thinking them through and at least having answers so that if anybody asks you a question, you have the answer. But also, if you know the answers themselves, you may be able to find a way of working something that's actually a crucial question into the pitch.
Very well. Thank you, Chris. Very valid point, ladies and gentlemen. Quite often when you're pitching, you have a chance to do a question and answer where people can come back with things they don't understand. In the big idea challenge, you don't, because it's a submitted pitch which is reviewed offline. So anticipate questions that judges might ask and get that information across. So Chris, with your permission, I'm going to move on a pass because I want to give Sandra a chance to
However
talk
you
about.
like.
Yeah, and then we talk about the surprise at the end. Yeah.
Yep.
So we talked about that. Yeah.
I think we've dealt with this. I think the key thing is, really, I would say 140 words is what you can manage in 60 seconds. If you have more, it won't come across well. I mean, I do think that it's another thing that I would say is, from my experience from last year, is that this is an English medium competition. And I think practicing your English and getting those 140 words as perfectly pronounced as you possibly can will really improve the legibility of your pitch. And the other thing is that when you upload them into YouTube, do the close captioning. So do the translation and put closed captions in English so that people can read the captions alongside listening. It will help.
Lovely. And I think at this point, Sandra, let me hand over to you, and if you could just talk about how we can, in our homes with our smartphones, do really nice video pitches.
Absolutely. So As Viren mentioned before, I think it's really important to highlight again that you should not be starting from the pitch, even though the pitch is the main asset really of this competition. We don't want you to start there. It should be a result of all the thinking and work that you've done before, all wrapped up nicely in the pitch. And another thing that we don't want you to necessarily think of too much or lose time about is the quality of your recording. So because we're all at home by ourselves most of the time, and we won't have access to a professional videographer that can record us while we do our pitches, I think it's very important for you to understand that that is not going to be a reason that your pitch will be marked down. But we probably expect everyone to shoot their videos with their smartphones. So most of you participants, I imagine, have an iPhone or an Android phone, something that looks like this, that has a camera. And the camera of these devices is actually really, really good. So you've got a really good quality image that you can film with this phone. And I would recommend everyone to go on YouTube and maybe search some tips from YouTubers on how they record their videos only with their smartphones by themselves at home. You can produce some really, really high quality videos just with your smartphone. You don't even need a tripod or any extra equipment that would cost you money. You can do this on a budget with equipment that you have at home and achieve really good results. So Viren, would you have a chance to quickly jump to the website of the competition?
Yeah. Oh, sorry. You want me to come? You'll have to. Someone will have to send me the link. Website of the competition.
I can tell you the URL if you like.
Right. So
It's Creative Spark.
Mm-hmm.
Or one word, dash.
Big idea.
Big idea.
Yeah.
.uk.
There we go.
That's it.
And if we scroll, so this website is public, everyone can access it. And if you scroll all the way to the bottom, there are the frequently asked questions document uploaded there. This can be downloaded. There we go, the last one, yeah. It can be downloaded by anyone on the website. And you can see in the first 3 questions, there are tips on how to record your video with your smartphone at home. So refer back to these videos. There are some YouTubers giving excellent tips on how you can record by yourself and make it very easy for yourself.
Oh, fantastic.
Another thing, maybe one thing that I would like to highlight about the recordings is make sure that the audio is good, because we need to hear what you're saying. If the audio is not good, if you're standing too far away from the phone, if there's something in between you and the microphone and we cannot hear clearly what you're saying, it's going to be very difficult for us to judge the pitch. So if there is the one little thing that I would want you to focus on when you record your pitch is to make sure that you have a good audio.
All right. So Neil, can I just come in and check when we send out a thank you note and send out the slides at the end of this call to people who've registered and who've come in here? We can attach some documents to it. Is that correct?
Well, Viren, there is not this is not a webinar, so you don't get an automatic email.
Okay.
So you're just on normal emails.
We get normal emails. Fine. All right. Cool. Thank you. Right, so before we make, right, so we're back onto here, right. Okay, and as I said that we had a bit of a surprise for you, and actually, you may want to do this, may not, but there is also a chance for you to participate in a learning activity that's going to happen virtually that's been run by London Met out there. And Sandra, do you want to talk a little bit about that, about 2-3 minutes, because then we want to take a chance to just, but yeah, but take about 2 minutes, please. Yes.
Absolutely. So we're very, very excited about this announcement. It's a new course that we are launching this Friday at 10 a.m. London time. As you can see, it's running over 5 weeks. It's 1 session per week. It's going to be run through webinar. The link to sign up is on this flyer as well, so you can just click and join us. And these sessions are to bring everyone up to speed with the basic concepts of entrepreneurship. It is obviously useful in preparation for the competition, but it's also useful for anyone else that is interested in learning about entrepreneurship and how the mindset works and how you can test your ideas. So we think it's a very valuable course for anyone that is interested or wants to join the competition and maybe doesn't have access to other activities that would prepare them and give them the skills and knowledge necessary to learn about entrepreneurship. So please join us this Friday and then for the next 5 weeks, every Friday.
So, ladies and gentlemen, because of the lockdown and you've all been at home and some of the normal activities haven't happened, and I know, in some of our partnerships, we've run boot camps and somewhere we've, not been able to do that. Here's an opportunity, whether you're preparing for the Big Idea Challenge or just you want to learn learn a little more. It's an online session that's going to run like this every Friday at this particular time. And Neil, should we just give people a chance to sort of join in now?
So we do need to have, people have been asking if there is an opportunity for questions, so let's do that. And we have one straight away. But what I will do at the same time is I will take that link and I will put that on the chat window for everybody. So ladies and gentlemen, if you want to, I'm going to copy that link onto the chat window. And what you can do is you'll be able to then click it straight away.
Spend 2 minutes and register now if you want to be a part of this 5-week program.
Viren, did you put it on Telegram?
Yeah, I think it is. Andriy, is that correct? Yeah.
Yes, sorry, yes.
Where?
Sorry. I'm going to come off share for a second.
Meanwhile, ladies and gentlemen, so Chris and Sandra, we have a question here. If there is one person now in the team, can that person take some people to join their team? The people who did not participate in the Creative Spark sessions before. Chris, Sandra?
Sorry, Neil, could you repeat that?
If there is one person that is present, in other words, if you have a one-person team.
Oh, yeah.
Can that person add other people to their team, even if those people that might be added have not done the Creative Spark sessions?
So I might jump in for this one, Chris. It's one of the eligibility criterions is that all participants have taken part in Creative Spark activities. So if there's a chance for those additional team members to somehow get involved in Creative Spark activities at the moment, that would probably be the way to get them involved and make sure they're eligible as well.
Okay, thanks. That was my question. Thank you very much.
No worries.
Oh, and there was another part of that. Is there an age limit for participants?
Yes, there is. So by the 2nd of March, when the competition opened, the participants need to be 18 years or older and not older than 35. So between 18 and 35. Sorry, Viren.
I'm over 18.
Right, ladies and gentlemen, any more questions either on the chat window or you can say them to us? We've got a couple of minutes left before we finish. There's a question. Students are separated at homes. How can they record videos? I think, Sandra, this is in your area.
Yeah,
absolutely. So if you are very motivated and very familiar with online conferencing tools such as Zoom or Skype or any other tool you might want to use and record it there with everyone joining in virtually, that is great. If you are not that techie and you don't know how to use those tools, that is absolutely fine as well. And we are happy with just one team member pitching the idea. Even though there's maybe 3 people in the team, it's absolutely fine to have just one person pitching and recording the pitch.
But be as creative as possible, people. You can push boundaries out there. We use Zoom all the time. I'm sure you're doing that. So yeah, give it a shot.
And there are other alternatives as well. So you could record synchronously in Zoom, but potentially you could have 3 people recording separately, and then if somebody knows some editing, some video editing, has some video editing skills, you could actually edit something together. So, you know, yes, as Viren says, be ambitious, but also we will be sympathetic where people have technical challenges.
Right.
And can I just check in, ladies and gentlemen? So the lovely Maya Dacia from Georgia has asked if anybody minds if what she wants to do is just put a screenshot of this call up to show people what happened. Can I just check in, please, that everybody's okay with that, because some of your faces are on there, and as pretty as Viren and Andrea are, you know, scaring the horses is not what we want to do, but just making sure that everybody's okay, that maybe 1 or 2 faces get popped on on Maya's thing. Yeah, anybody? No, everybody's saying fine. Chris is very happy with it. That's all good.
Yeah, and I mean, I might post it as well. Is that all right?
Right, lovely. So has anybody taken sort of, I've had 4 or 5 screenshots of the various people who've been on the call. So I'm very happy to share that with anybody. But ladies and gentlemen, I think we're about the time we're going to finish. So I'm going to share the link once more. Before we close the call, can you copy this link? And if you want to join in on this Friday and the 4 other Fridays to learn a bit more, go on to your browser and sign up on the London Met platform for this particular online course, which they're running live.
Well done,
with some MOOCs on that. Yeah.
We've already got a couple of people that have already registered, as Minerva has already registered, for example.
Right. Sorry, Viren, I'm jumping in. Again, these sessions are going to be live, but if you're going to be missing one because you have some very important things to do while you're quarantined at home and you can't attend one, don't worry, because they will be recorded as well. So you can catch up on it in your own time and make sure that you don't miss any of the exciting content.
Okay, so we are here. So the next one is an ideation on 24th April, this Friday, and the focus on the problem is the next Friday. Yeah.
Before we close, guys, just one very quick question. I think I know the answer. There's a question about what about a single person team? Can they submit applications?
Yes, please.
Yes, please. There we go. Easy peasy.
The numbers are 1, 2, or 3. Teams can be sized 1 or 2 or 3 people.
Fantastic.
Cool. Ladies and gentlemen, any more for any more? I think we're done, in which case, ladies and gentlemen, thank you very, very much for coming on. Very grateful for you for doing so, and looking forward to a fantastic competition and a great result, and a few people being seen in the UK in a few months' time, which would be very exciting.
I don't know about that. Sorry.
No, sorry, I got that wrong. Was that last time?
Yeah, sadly not in terms of the competition, because we're not able to rely on that. But I just wanted to say, could I just thank colleagues from ChangeSchool for facilitating this session. It's been really great for Sandra and I to have this channel, be able to reach people. Thank you so much.
You're welcome, Chris. Yeah.
And thanks to all the participants.
All right, so ladies and gentlemen, you can come off mute and give us a wave. We want to wish you good luck. This is a meeting. I know you're on mute, but bye for now. Stay safe. Get excited about your project, and just remember, because you're at home and not at university, there is no limitation on what you can do, and you can participate, learn, practice, prepare your pitch, and put an excellent submission. I will look forward to all of you participating in that process. All right. Andrew, thank you very much. Thank you, Sandra, and thank you, Chris.
Thank you. Thanks. Bye, everyone.
Bye.
Bye, everybody.
Thank you.
Bye.
Goodbye. Goodbye.
Goodbye.
Thank you so much.
Bye.
Goodbye. Thank you. Thank you so much.
Erkin, yes, we will share our presentations. Yeah, we'll send them through. Erkin, pick it up. Okay.
Okay, bye. Have a nice day.
All right. Cheers. Bye. Bye.
So this conference is being recorded, right, Viren?
Yes, yes, yes.
And shall we have a chance to have a video?
Yes, yes.
Thank you. Because I was out.
Yeah, we can share it.
My internet was.
No, but I'm saying we all need to get off it so